Right. Good morning, everybody. Let's get started. Thanks for coming, everybody. As always, this is like my new favorite thing to do is help people figure out and get better with AI. It is drastically taking over everybody's world, including mine. My business is changing. I've found this little niche to where everybody needs to understand how to use AI to the best of their abilities to impact themselves, their business. But then really teams I'm finding are having a difficult time figuring out how to get AI inside of their business. And so I'm working with several groups right now on that exact thing. So if anybody has anybody in their network that's looking to figure out how to go down that path of getting AI inside their business as a functioning, usable contributor on their team, feel free to send them my way, and we'll have lots of conversations just like this. So on that note, and as we get started cruising here, I want to call out that there's really three areas that, as a business owner, business leader, that you've got to, as this future continues to unfold. Today, we're really only focusing on individual capabilities, right? This is how can you move up these ranks and up this ladder to improve your proficiency and your understanding of these tools and how they can make a difference. But when you're looking at the company level, at a team level, it doesn't just stop with you as the individual. It really has to be pinned on the executive fluency. Your executive team, your entire leadership, they've got to have a strong understanding of how these tools work, what they're capable of doing, and how they're going to impact your organization across the board. Without having your leadership team driving and understanding this effort, it's kind of impossible to have the rest of your team follow. Now, after your executive team is bought in and understands what these tools can do, their capabilities, where they can go, you've got to start to think about what is your organization actually putting in place from a technology standpoint, from a policy standpoint, from frameworks and governance, tools, the whole nine yards. And then once you've got your leadership team on board, you've got tools in place. Well, guess what? Just having those things still requires all of the individual people that are going to use these tools to understand and know their capabilities and really push them to the limits to have an impact. And so if you try to just focus on, say, that you're going to have a bunch of tools and nobody really truly understanding how they're working. Now, if you have a bunch of tools and you teach people, you give people training and opportunities, but your executive team isn't leading the charge, that culture is really not going to be able to stand the test of time. And so as you move forward, as the world moves forward, as your businesses move forward, just make sure you're thinking about all three of these areas. So just a quick recap here. I know in future sessions, we've gone deeper, we've dove into these pieces. At the end of the day, I personally don't care what tool you're using. I'm finding that the number one question I get is, which tool should I use? And that's the wrong question. The question should just be, how hard can I use these tools? How far can I push these tools? Each tool does have its own strength, and they all have their own weaknesses, but until you actually are pushing these to the limit, they all do the same thing. What I care about the most right now is that you're paying for a tool. Those that are still using a free model are driving a 1992 Civic when you could be driving a 2024, 2023 Beamer. That's a drastically different ride down the highway, from comfort to sound quality to speed to what people think of you as you drive by. And the same things apply for these tools. We're at a point now where using a free tool, you are likely to be using a cutting edge model for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And what's the difference of a cutting edge model versus a model from 6 months ago? Well, it's probably the solution to all the excuses that exist. And I hear professionals all the time say, these tools, I tried to do X, Y, Z, ABC, and it couldn't do it. So it doesn't work for me. I can't use this. And then my response is, well, when did you do that? When did you ask the tool that question that pushed you down this path to say, I'm not going to do this anymore? Well, if it was yesterday, then try it again today. Because of the rate of change of these tools, you need to be pushing it. You need to be re-challenging it. And when you're not on a paid version, you're using the models from yesterday, from last week, from last month. And so my point there is, when you hit a roadblock and these tools can't do what you're asking it to do, one, you need to try again. And two, you need to make sure that you're using the top tier cutting edge tool. What we're going to do is we're going to run through a scenario here that we're going to look at one specific company, and I'm going to walk you through um, a few ways to use Chat GPT, to use Gemini, to use whatever tool you're using to try to make your day-to-day a little more efficient. We've talked about most of these three areas in the past, and we're going to continue to do so because guess what? The way you interact with these continues to change. So one is voice to text. The examples of scenarios that I'm going to show you, I'm not going to live voice to text. I did these last night. I put these in last night. That way we can avoid any hiccups of just latency or lag. So, but I want you to know that everything that I did put in was over voice to text. When you type, you type at speed of X. And when you speak, just like I'm doing now, you're speaking like 3, 4, 5 times faster than you can input your ideas and your thoughts and your content than you can when you type. And so if you're still typing today, your interactions with ChatGPT, I ask you to, as soon as we get off this call, stop typing and give it a test run. Hit the microphone button and speak to the tool what it is you want. I'll give you an example here. This deck that we're looking at, not a single word was typed on the keyboard to put this entire deck together. Everything you're seeing here was me telling the tool what it is I wanted to do, how I want it to display, what I want to come next, what I want to come before. And it was really me telling a story as to what it is I want to achieve right here. And that comes out way more fluent than if I ever were to try to just type it away. So the second thing is using AI to improve the AI. Use it to help improve yourself and use it to help improve the output of what you're doing. We're going to see this. We're going to see this reel in just a minute. What I'm referencing here is going to the tool with one singular objective, such as, hey, can you help me process this email? And also help me think about the things that I'm missing. Help me think about the things that I don't know to ask you. It's going to understand your core basic concept and what you're trying to do. And by you giving it the freedom to fill in the gaps and the spaces for what you haven't asked, it's going to do just that. And the third thing is projects, agents, or gems. These are all relatively the same thing that are just different names for different tools. And what these are essentially are folders. It's a way for you to isolate and contain context and information. As powerful as these tools are, they still have to be directed, right? There is infinite information and capability inside of there. With that, it doesn't inherently know everything every second that you need it to do. And by you giving a container and a space and some rules and some context to what you're trying to have it do, it's going to drastically get back up to, or pick up speed to do what it is you want. So this morning, as I was getting ready, I decided to open up ChatGPT and I asked it to create me a 3D rendering of a tool shop and have items in the rendering have their names pop out if I hover the mouse over it. But within 2 minutes, it whipped up this not that awesome of a rendering, but you get what it is, right? It's a tool shop. And I made this today because I've been using this analogy for 2 or 3 weeks now. When you walk into a tool shop and you see that there is a really poorly designed saw and a drill and a hammer and a toolbox and a funky ladder, you walk into this room and you know that certain things are about to happen. You don't even think about the things that aren't going to happen, right? You walk into this room and you know only so many possible things can come out of here, even though that so many possible things is virtually limitless. But you're contained to think about, what am I going to build? What am I going to create? What am I going to break? Something is going to come out of this room when I leave. Same thing goes when you walk into the bathroom, right? There's a shower, there's a toilet, there's towels, there's a toothbrush. In my case, there's plenty of hairspray. And so you know when you walk in here, there's only so much that's gonna happen. And that's what I'm trying to help you wrap your head around when you use folders and give this folder context of what are the activities that are going to happen in here, you're really setting some constraints and some boundaries as to the activities, the expectations, the input, and the output. So let's go in and check some stuff out.